Hello again, and thank you for staying with us. We continue here. The Youth in Business South Africa commends the provincial governments of KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, and the Eastern Cape for rolling out provincial youth funds. Now, youth entrepreneurship aims to address the global challenges of youth unemployment, poverty, as well as inequality. It also promotes opportunities for sustainable job creation, self-employment, as well as innovation. For more on this, we're joined by Hlongwane, the Secretary General of Youth in Business South Africa. Mr. Hlongwane, a pleasure to have you on the program. As we know, the driving force of the economic development of any nation of the world is its youth. And an increase in the youth unemployment rate means that young people are not able to contribute their developmental quota to the country's economic growth. In your own words, tell us what is the main problem with youth unemployment?
Good evening to yourselves and your viewers at home. The main challenge faced by us young people currently in South Africa is a 76 upwards youth unemployment rate, which is caused by, I think, the unstructured, the structural reforms currently in our economy. We are faced with an economy that has less job makers and more job seekers, and also the economic ownership of South Africa is predominantly more white owned than black. So hence why we're seeing a huge scale of youth unemployment. We are seeing a country that has a low investment potential on youth SMEs, which I believe in my own words would be the solution to the high unemployment rates in South Africa.
Let's talk a bit more about your organization. What exactly does the Youth in Business aim to achieve here?
So the founding statement of Youth in Business South Africa, which was founded on the 31st of March 2015, was creating more job makers and less job seekers. So the Youth in Business South Africa acts as a lobbying organization, be it lobbying the private sector or lobbying the state, to ensure that it includes young people either in procurement opportunities, in the economic landscape of those institutions, but mainly the Youth in Business South Africa exists to ensure that the young people in this country play a pivotal role in the economy of South Africa.
Now, since your organization was formed back in 2015, what have you managed to achieve to really help youth entrepreneurs?
So, funny enough, in our last NEC meeting, we were looking back at our previous milestone and what we have achieved to date. And I had then told them that they should not only look at the materialistic wins we have, which we have hosted the National Entrepreneurs the Hotel in 2019, a fundraising off day, a series of workshops and gatherings with young people. And at the end of the month of March, we are going to be hosting the Youth Economic Assembly. So those are the materialistic wins we have made or achieved. But the most important wins we have is that youth entrepreneurship in South Africa currently is given more attention thanks to the Youth in Business South Africa. Young people are now being listened to thanks to the Youth in Business South Africa. And most importantly, we have a robust NYDA, and an NYDA that now prides itself as an organization championing youth development in South Africa thanks to the Youth in Business South Africa.
But why focus on youth entrepreneurship?
The youth entrepreneurship, I think, in my own words, carries the solution to the global unemployment crisis that is engulfing the world as we speak.
Yeah.
And youth entrepreneurship is not only about ensuring that young people build businesses, but it's also ensuring about that young people build and sustain those businesses, because building a business is one step, sustaining it is another. So we are looking at youth entrepreneurship as the gateway to an economic reform, an economic transformation that is going to be able to be inclusive of all people in South Africa.
Now, you have in recent times commended the efforts of the provincial governments of KZN and Mpumalanga, as well as the Eastern Cape, for really heeding the call which was made back in 2019 to really establish provincial youth funds. How would these look like, really, from your own understanding of the scheme? And how do you think this will assist young people in business?
So I believe the management of provincial youth funds should not only be confined to government. Government should also must be the owner of the intellectual property, but look at other partners, be it fund managers, be it banks, or other institutions that they are able to take care of these funds. Because if we rely on government the most, it will be politicized, and thus then it won't serve its purpose. So in 2015 or 2019, we wrote to all 9 provincial governments seeking or proposing that they establish provincial youth funds, be it a 50 million rand injection by the provincial government then goes out to the market and fundraise, or it can be a fully blown investment opportunity or investment arm of government through the office of the premier.
Right.
Out of the 9 provinces we had proposed to, only 3 have then since established and rolled out these provincial youth funds, namely the Mpumalanga government, the KwaZulu-Natal government, and the Eastern Cape. And we are still hoping that the other provincial governments in South Africa are going to heed this call and ensure that adequate financial support is given to young people, especially young entrepreneurs.
But interestingly, some will argue that it's not the sole responsibility of the government to create jobs and help support businesses. How do you think the private sector can also assist here?
So, fortunately, the private sector has what we call enterprise and supplier development, which also talks to their responsibility to ensure that the enterprises and their suppliers are properly developed and capacitated. So now we need to have an establishment of a joint public-private partnership between the state or the executive or government with the private sector, where they come in and create a consortium of ideas where all these stakeholders are going to create a unilateral voice or unilateral program aimed at ensuring that small businesses, be it those operating in the private sector or those in the public sector, get the adequate support. So currently in all private companies, unfortunately, enterprise and supplier development is just a mere tick box exercise. Only a few, and I mean a select few of companies, are using ESD for impact-driven approaches and are using their ESD programs to ensure that they leave a long-lasting legacy in the communities that they are serving. So it's important that each and every company in the private sector uses its ESD program or its ESD funding to ensure that impact and a legacy is left in the communities it deals with.
Now, Bright, as we wrap up our conversation, a quick one. Given your own observation, and since your organization was formed back in 2015, what have you observed as the biggest challenge facing, especially youth entrepreneurship? Is it really a case of funding, or is it a mixed bag of problems here? You know, is there more that the youth require in their toolbox to help sustain their businesses?
I think it's as you've just mentioned, a mixed bag of problems. We have a red tape issue. We have a very huge issue of lack of market linkages. We have a huge issue of inadequate capacity and skills training programs. And most importantly, young people from their side, I'm sorry to blame them, but some lack the courage, passion, and tenacity to go and embark in business ventures, because most of them are easily give up, and when they going get tough, they quickly say, no, I'm done, this is not for me. And when you are in business, you must understand that challenges are part of the package. So currently, the market in South Africa is very unconducive for small businesses to thrive, meaning we have a huge population of black people who are very afraid of purchasing goods and services from other black people. They'd rather go the other route instead of supporting one of their own. Secondly, we have a huge problem of entrepreneurs not providing quality services and products at the expense of the consumer. And I think the problem I just mentioned is caused by the fact that majority of black-owned enterprises are not providing the the quality services that they should be required. They should be providing. Lastly, we have another challenge of the red tape I've just mentioned. Even funding institutions make funding availability very, very, very hard to access, which now also is a deterring factor to young entrepreneurs saying, because I'm now going to delve in a year process of just evaluating one business plan, how much more for others should I be then able to wait?
That was Bright Hlongwane. He's the Secretary General for Youth in Business South Africa, of course, speaking to us there about them commending several governments around the country for ensuring that youth fund schemes are set up.